Welcome to Deck Analysis and Testing. Today we have a new deck, which is Swordsoul, which for some reason they decided that, a new DM world means that we should get Swordsoul, but yeah, whatever. Swordsoul is a deck that has been good, like, what, 4 years ago in the TCG? It has been like a very simplistic but very effective strategy that's based around synchro summoning using like the most boring ways possible. So like they have like a one card starter in Moye, and then you normal summon it, it gives you a token, and then you synchro summon, and then you grab the extender, and then you summon the extender, and then you make a second synchro monster, and that's it. That's all the deck does. But it's even though it's like the most simple meta deck that you could ever create in the TCG, it's still really good, and it's still good even in Duel Links without like Baron de Fleur or the other level 10 Swordsoul Synchro. We still have like the first level 10 Swordsoul Synchro, which is still really good. And also we have a skill. And because, the deck is good in the TCG before, the skill isn't too crazy compared to the other skills that we get nowadays, um, which is a good thing because the deck doesn't need that much help being a deck that's already good in the TCG. So yeah, with that said, let's have a look at the deck. Let's have a look at the skill first. The skill locks you into Sword Souls in the main deck, so no 10 splashes, but you can still summon anything from your extra deck. And also, you can summon Albaz in this deck. We're not playing Albaz. Part of the reason is because Albaz is from a different box. So in this free-to-play version, we're not playing it. But I also am not playing it in the expensive version because I don't think it's very worth playing. Even though you can make it very easily, and then you can fuse into a Mirror Jade, and that's crazy on paper, but you do need a discard, and also like any interruption under the sun stops the Albaz. So I just don't think it's very much worth playing. But if you like to play Albaz, you could just play Albaz. The deck has a very easy way to make it using Ecclesia to just summon it from your deck. And also, speaking of Mirror Jade, the skill just adds free Mirror Jades to your extra deck. But we will never be summoning it both in the free-to-play and expensive version, at least for like the deck that I built. The skill also lets you normal summon one more monster if your opponent has any card in their field or in their graveyard. They don't have to like use a monster effect or whatever, just like in the Ancient Gear skill. They just need to have a card, just any card in their graveyard or on their field. And we will be capitalizing on that using a funny little card that we will be playing in the main deck that you might have already spotted. Also, the skill allows you to reveal the Ecclesia or the Iris Sword Soul from your hand, and then just add the Ecclesia or add any Sword Soul card from your deck to your hand. So just more consistency. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit of a consistency boost, even though the deck is already pretty consistent overall. Just makes the deck pretty much never brick. So we have, of course, the Ecclesia and the Iris Swordsoul, which are one-card starters because of the skill. And Ecclesia, even without the skill, is already a starter. You can special summon this card if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, and then you can just tribute itself to summon Swordsoul from your deck. So it's basically a starter in that way. And also during the end phase, if a fusion monster is sent to the graveyard this turn, you can just add it back to your hand, which will come up if you're playing like Albaz and trying to make Mirror Jade, but in this version, it just never comes up. Our Swordsoul is kind of an interruption. If there is a monster on the field, it doesn't have to be your opponent, that has its effects negated, you can just summon this from your hand during any main phase, including your opponent's. It is a quick effect. And if your opponent summons a monster, you can use one of these effects depending on where that monster is summoned. So if it's from the hand, you get to special summon a monster from your hand, that's whatever. If it's from the deck, you draw two, that's also whatever. Draw two is pretty good, but like the only like relevant effect is the one from the extra deck where you can just destroy that monster that is summoned from the extra deck. So it's kind of a pop. But usually you just use it for your skill, and then you can just discard it for like Longmon or something. And speaking of that, we have two copies of Longmon, which that's how people call it apparently. You can discard one other Swordsoul card or one other Word Monster to special summon this card from your hand, and then summon a Swordsoul token, which is always a level 4 tuner. And while that token is on the field, you cannot summon except for synchro summoning. Also, if it's sent to the graveyard, you burn for 600. It says 1200, but because that's a TCG, it's halved in dueling, so you just only burn for 600. Also, two copies of Taya. This card can banish a Swordsoul or Worm from your graveyard and then summon a token. And also, when it's used as a synchro material, you can bin any Swordsoul card or Worm monster. This effect to bin is a lot better in 10-yi builds, but we're not playing 10-yis, the skill locks us from playing 10-yis, so the send effect doesn't really matter too much. This is just another way that you can get a level 8 synchro. But the main way that we will be starting off our turn is going to be discard. Swordsoul of Moye, discard. If my girl and Moye, you can reveal a card from your hand to summon a token, and then when you synchro summon using the Moye, you draw a card. Pretty good. Chain blocks doesn't really matter too much in a world without Ash Blossom, but just remember that you can always chain block the level 8 synchro by using the draw effect on Chainlink 2. So that's pretty cool. And let's go over the other Swordsoul cards before we talk about the non-engine. Free emergence, it just searches anything. It's just a searcher. Nothing too much to talk about. It can't search any worm monster, so in the TCG you can search Protoss, but in duelings we're just always searching Swordsouls. So we're just grabbing anything that we don't have in our hand. And also, if it's banished, you can modulate the level of a Swordsoul monster by 1. You can increase or decrease its level by 1. That is what allows us to play synchro monsters that are not level 8 or 10. So we can also make level 7s or 9s or even level 11 synchros if we want to. And finally, one copy of Swordsoul Blackout, which is a trap. It's pretty good, searchable. You can target a worm and 2 cards that are putting controls and destroy all of them. And it has another effect when it's banished to summon a token. Doesn't really come up too much. Yeah, you search it with your synchro usually. If you already have all of the other monsters, you can just set it, and then it's a double pop. The double pop is really good, and you can use it on your Chi Xiao right after you use the effect to negate. And for the non-engine, we're playing 3 copies of Dark World Dealings. This is kind of like a more of a meme option. I don't think it's like that good, but it's pretty funny. So what it does is it allows us to draw a card. Each player draws a card, and then each player discards a card. So it's not only more consistency so that you can draw like magic deflectors more easily, it's also a way that you can get your opponent to send a card to their graveyard so that you can use your double normal summon during turn 1. So you can normal summon both Moye and Taya even when you go first, so that you can make more synchro monsters on your end board. But the send effect is it can be detrimental if your opponent is playing a deck that has graveyard effects. If they're playing like Despia, they can send the Tragedy to get a surge. If they're playing Shadows, they can send all of the Shadows to gain their graveyard effect. So you don't always want to use this effect. But it's pretty funny to give yourself a second normal summon. And also just drawn to like really strong non-engine like Magic Deflector that just wins games against certain decks like Despia or the Dark Magician deck that people seem to be playing a lot right after the new update. So for the extra deck, we're playing 3 copies of Xiao. This is Negate, also searches, really strong synchro monster. You want to make this every single time you go first. Also, when you go second, this card is just ridiculous. And when it's synchro summoned, you just add any Swordsoul card to your hand, and also quick effect to negate any monster on the field. Yep. And the second synchro monster that we'll be pretty much making every single time is Chen Ying. This card is the only level 10 synchro that's pretty much worth making because we don't have Baron and we don't have Seeking Longmon. So we're just making this card. This card gets an attack boost and also lowers your opponent's monster's attacks so that they can't beat over any of your guys easily. Also, if it's destroyed by card effect, you can banish a card from your graveyard instead. And the powerful effect is that if any card is banished, uh, except during the damage step, you can banish a card from your opponent's field and their graveyard. And this effect does not target, which makes this one of the best removals that this deck has access to. And it's kind of like quick effect Trishula that doesn't banish from hand. So really good at getting rid of stuff your opponent controls, gets rid of stuff like First Dark Lord pretty easily, and also just really hard to get rid of because of the protection. Other stuff that we're playing include a copy of Draco Berserker, which is obtainable from the bundle, and it makes it so that when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish it. Drake Guide is technically from another box, but it's a super rare, and also you don't have to play it if you don't want to. But it is very good if you have a copy because it can be part of your turn 1 end board and it negates a spell trap. And if you make this card, remember to leave a water monster in your graveyard. Don't, use Taya to banish your Moye and then realize that you don't have a water monster in your graveyard so that you can't negate with Dragite. That has happened to me before, and don't repeat the same mistake. And other non-level 8 or 10 synchros that we're playing, we are playing one Black Rose Dragon, which we can make with Taya. So what you can do is Swordsoul Emergence during, like if you go second, you can go Emergence, grab a Taya, a normal summon, banish the Emergence, summon a token, Emergence effect, lower the level to 3, and then 4+3, make a Black Rose, and then just blow up everything, which is pretty good. And we can also make a Stellar Wind Wolfariet as another card that we can make going first. This is, again, a non-targeting monster removal that just puts everything back into the deck. Really strong form of back row monster removal that you can choose to make instead of something like a Dragite, depending on the matchup. So this is the expensive version of the deck. Yeah, it's it's just like in a TCG, and we're just playing hand traps. As I said in the intro, we're not playing Albaz because I don't think Albaz is very good, even though Merjade seems insane, just because of the discard cost being, well, costly. And even though, Albaz technically gives you another push in the deck, I just think who needs another push when you just can play more hand traps and just not let your opponent play the game entirely. So yeah, Imperm is going to be in pretty much every single expensive version of any of the decks that I build in the future. I'm pretty sure this card is crazy. Not as crazy as you might think because of how decks work in Duel Links. That just not every deck dies to Imperm. Like a lot of decks just don't care about Imperm that much, just because how like the skill kind of bridges the gap between what the deck does. You know, that's like Dark Magician or Blue Eyes don't really care about Imperm that much because all of the power is centered around the skill. But Imperm is still pretty good to like stop stuff like, Despia, because you don't have to use it during your opponent's turn. You can use it during your own turn, like draw phase, Imperm, the tax dragon, so that you can play, you just play your cards without needing to pay life points. It's like a kind of a droplet that has more applications when you go when you go second. That you can use in your opponent's turn as well. And also Veiler, DD Crow, these are like the best hand traps that you could play. And then we're still playing one Ecclesia, no reason to play more copies because we want to keep the deck count to 20. And if we play more Ecclesia, that means we play less Swordsoul cards, and we want more Swordsoul cards just because of that, just so that we have more follow-up. I guess you can play like 2 Ecclesia and 2 Moye, but you don't want to play only one copy of like Longwon or Moye because you want like multiple copies for the follow-up. So Taya is probably like the worst out of the three, so you can get away with maybe like a copy because like Moye can sometimes fulfill the role of Taya. So you don't really need that many copies of Taya, but you do want more copies of Longwon and Moye. And the extra deck is just pretty much the same thing, except that we have slightly better cards. We have Ruddy Rose, that's like another level 10 that's pretty decent against some matchups. Pretty good against Despia to like force out the Branded in red because it banishes everything from the graveyard. And also Baxia is just more removal that you can make when you go second. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's have a look at some replays. Okay, first game, we're going first. Swordsoul is a deck that you always want to go first with. I mean, the skill does help a bit when you go second because it gives you another normal summon, but well, you always just want to go first anyway. So we're gonna use the Swordsoul Emergence to grab in our Swordsoul because that works with our skill. We'll just go and get a +1. And then we can just normal summon the Taya, and then we can synchro summon, make a Chi effect to grab something, and then Taya to send anything. I guess we'll send another Emergence. And then we'll go Long Yuan to summon a token, and then summon a Cheng Ying, and then set 2. So that's pretty good. We have like a negate, a banish, a double pop, magic deflector that should just end the game against Dark Magician, and an Aura Swordsoul as kind of a pop. So our opponent will add Magical Dimension, we'll let it, because we will just negate it anyway. They go Soul Servant, we'll let that go, because we want to chain the deflector on the dimension, which we will do right now. We'll negate that, and well, GG's. I don't think they can do a whole lot, and nice GD Crow, it doesn't do anything against Swordsoul, unfortunately. We'll negate, might as well. I don't think there's anything else worth negating, because they already normal summoned, and they can't, you know, like normal summon Rod or something. And, well, that's the end of the game. Okay, game 2, we're playing against a new character. Ooh. Well, unfortunately for him, we are going first, even though he's playing a pretty good deck. And because of the skill that he's playing, he just immediately turns on skill without needing for us to even use the Dark World Dealings, which we definitely don't want to do against a deck like Shaddoll. So we're gonna just keep this in our hand, or we're gonna set it just to bluff, but we can just do our combo. So we're just gonna synchro summon the Chisha. We didn't make a Woofer yet. We're gonna make it before we use the long one, just because we can use the effect to boost more attacks. And then we're gonna deal a bit of damage, reset 2, and pass back to our opponent. And then our opponent's gonna use a skill, then grab a Shaddoll. He's gonna try to get rid of a monster, we will negate. He'll try to go El Shaddoll Fusion, we'll negate. He's gonna try to flip his monster face down so that his effect resolves, which will succeed, so there goes our Wolfar yet, but that's still okay. We can use Cheng Ying to banish the spell plus the set monster so that we don't have to care about that. He's gonna go Shaddoll Fusion, and well, that's all the interruptions that we have. I guess we still have the Iris Swordsoul, but we're not gonna summon this anytime soon because there are no negated monsters on the field. So we might as well keep this for next turn, so that we can just search another card. The skill's not once per duel, so we can just use it every time. Our opponent is going to be able to pop off, but they probably can't OTK this turn. So we are still in a pretty good position, even though we have no more interruptions left. I did go Nightmare Phoenix, which is hilarious. Thanks for popping our Dapper Dealings. He's gonna go Shaddoll Beast to draw 2, and then make a Unicorn to get rid of the Chungas. But they still can't beat over Xixiao, so well, amazing top deck. I'm gonna go Moye, summon a token, make a Dragite, so that he's forced to use a Droplet immediately, otherwise we can just negate the other set that he has. And then, well, we can just continue playing. I'm gonna go Long Yuan, summon a token, and then we're gonna make a Cheng Ying. Cheng Ying gonna go and try to enter battle, and then he's gonna go Schism in main phase. And then, because of how turn player priority works, I get to use the effect of Cheng Ying first, and then he uses the effect second because I'm the turn player. And then he gets to send a monster, and then because I don't target, I get to banish the monster that he sent, so no effect activations for him. And then we just win. We just attack and go for game. Okay, we're in the expensive version of the deck, and well, this expensive version just plays like, you know, how you play in a TCG. We just play 10 billion hand traps, and we just hand trap our opponent so that they can't play the game. We drew Veiler, which is pretty good. They're gonna go Moye, we're gonna go Veiler. It's just like in the TCG, right? We're gonna negate the Moye, and that's the end of the game. It's just like in the TCG. Oh my god, it's like we're playing Master Duel in 2022. Good game, good game.